Ready?
Yes, sir.
Hello and welcome back to CSC's live chat. I am Sukanya Nair, and today we are diving into a topic that affects each and every one of us, and that is the food we eat and the systems that bring it to our plate. So, the discussion today is going to be on are our food systems sustainable? And to help us unpack all of this, we have with us Amit Khurana. He's a program director with CSC's Sustainable Food System team. Amit, thank you so much for joining us. Uh,
Thank you
so,
so much,
Amit,
Sukanya.
So, Amit, let's start from the very beginning. We hear the term sustainable food systems in our global and national forums. What does that exactly mean?
Okay, that's a very basic question and a very appropriate one, Sukanya. So, before I actually talk about sustainable food systems, let me very briefly also tell people what are food systems. So we know food, but we do not know what really are food systems. Very in a nutshell, food systems is not just about the food production part of it, not just the agriculture part of it. It starts from the raw materials, if I may say, or the inputs which are required, and of course it ends at the market. I mean, the food that is produced, processed, transported, marketed, branded, and consumed, and to a certain extent also the waste part of it. That entire ecosystem where food that comes to our plate is produced, processed, is what is food system. Now, sustainability, I can tell you, can be seen from different lenses. Some it could be financial sustainability, it could be ecological sustainability. But the way we see sustainability at CSC is on three or four counts. For example, if a food system is sustainable for a livelihood of a farmer, then it is sustainable. If a food system is sustainable for the health and nutrition of the people, it is able to provide the people of this country health and nutrition, then it is sustainable. The third dimension to that is if a food production system is not contaminating the environment, it is helping the environment and the ecology, then it is sustainable. So we see food systems from the lens of these three angles: livelihood of farmers, health and nutrition of people, and no toxicity, or let's say environmental protection or ecological protection. That's how we see a food system as sustainable. I'll just give you a small example. If a food which is let's say we eat a lot of junk food, and there's a lot of junk food that there's a lot of and that food perhaps is of course produced in the current system, so it is not really helping the nutrition part or the safety part of the consumers, like that. If a food system which is not really helping the livelihood of a farmer, the cost of production is very high, or he or she is not able to sell it at the right prices in the market, that system is not right. So that's not sustainable. That's the example.
So, that's a great way to put it. Not looking at food not just as a product, but as a process that impacts our health, environment, and economy and everything around it. So,
Yeah.
but when we look at what's happening around us, from the food, how it is produced to how it is consumed, it's clear that something isn't working right. So, why do you think the current food systems are not sustainable?
Yeah, so let's go back and understand what are we eating, what we are eating. If you ask anyone, he would say, "I'm not really happy. I have my doubts on the kind of food I'm eating. Either it's not safe, it has lots of pesticide, lots of chemicals, or it has too much salt, sugar, or fat." Uh, and then we also know parents talking about kids eating a lot of junk foods, let's say. We also know that there is a concern about chemicals in the food. For example, antibiotics in chicken, antibiotics in egg, and a lot of other chemicals which are used these days. And we know that there are concerns around that. So by and large, what we are eating, we are seeing a lot of dietary transition. This transition happening towards ultra processed food. We know that we are eating a food which has lot of chemicals. That's at the consumption side of it. On the production side of it, we also know, and both of these, by the way, are very much linked. On the production side of it, we know what are we producing. Most of this is monoculture, cereal based, rice, wheat, and some other, maize, sugarcane. Um, by and large, we're not really producing diverse food as much as we should. So the production side is not sustainable because it is monoculture centric, and this kind of production process has its own problems. It comes with its own inherent reasons. It is dependent on chemicals. It leads to a lot of soil degradation. It leads to because you put a lot of chemicals, it has an environmental component into it. It contaminates the environment. So the production side is clearly unsustainable for ABC reasons. And then it is also unsustainable because we have seen, I mean, the farmers in our country are still trying to, to, to earn a respectable amount of money, which they should be able to. So, and that has not really, I mean, for example, one extreme event, uh, a heavy rainfall, can actually just make it very difficult for the farmer to earn from whatever he has worked hard upon for the last few months.
We're seeing that in
So
Punjab right now.
yes, so there are issues of livelihood. There are issues of chemicals. There are issues of low nutritive value of the foods. There are issues of dietary transition. So a lot of these, I mean, we can see not just the production side, but the consumption side, and let's say also the markets. I mean, we have this. There's this organic and natural farming movement, but we all know uh, there are availability concerns, there are access concerns, there are issues about transition time that still, despite so many years into it, we are still not, we are still like a very few part of our country actually, or a few percentage of our farmers are growing organic or natural. Or let's say a very few percentage of people are eating organic or natural because it is not very expensive at times, or it is not available everywhere, or you have this thing available, but that thing not available. So a lot of these concerns are there. So this entire food system is neither friendly for the producer,
Mm.
most of the producers, if I may say, neither friendly for the consumers. So that's why it is unsustainable.
So from farm to fork, we just have too many challenges to handle. So that brings me to the final question, but also the big question. What can we do about it? I mean, how do we shift from where we are now to a truly sustainable system? Or is that
See,
even possible?
very difficult question. And as you said, it's a complex thing. But at the same time, the best part is that we know the problems.
Right.
We know the problems. The problem structuring is there. There are issues. The government also knows the problem. Civil society also knows the problem. Farmers themselves also know the problem. Somewhere we have to get our act together, be very honest in our intentions to help the farmers address the problems of the farmers. That's one. There's a lot that needs to be done on the consumer side also. Uh, Consumer awareness will influence the production. I mean, the millet movement will move ahead, will scale up if people start eating millets, let's say. Farmers would like to produce millet if there's a demand of the millets. Farmers will move towards organic or natural or non-chemical farming if people are ready to pay the price. So a lot of action also has to happen on the consumer side. On the producer side, it, it's about, let's say, creating a complete ecosystem for let's producers, right seeds, right kind of seeds, uh, incentives, markets, inputs, all the safety net, for example, weather advisories, forecast and weather advisories, safety net in terms of insurance in the event of a climate vagary, or let's say an extreme weather event. So all these has to be systematically addressed, and a lot of this is being, I would say, there are steps in this direction. In some cases, we have covered some ground. In some cases, we have covered more ground. But in some cases, we have actually covered not much ground. So that's how we have to go about it.
So we can say that steps are there, but it's still a long way to go.
Of course. Yes.
I think that's it. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us, Amit, and thank you so much, everybody, for watching. But on that note, we're also excited to share that next week we are hosting, that the CSE is hosting a 3-day national conclave on sustainable food system. Amit, would you like to tell our audience a little bit about what the event is all about?
Yes, of course. So this is a 3-day event that we are organizing, National Conclave on Sustainable Food Systems. We do this every couple of years. We are actually now trying to understand. This is more like an agenda, uh, a way ahead or a next step building exercise that we do, wherein we are trying to understand uh, our food systems, what should be done with our food systems, particularly in the current times, which are challenged by the climate risks. So that's the broad idea. We're discussing several issues focusing on soil health. We are discussing issues focusing on voluntary carbon markets. We're also discussing issues on safety net, insurance, how the technology can improve insurance. We're also discussing issues like forecasting and advisories, how to make them more accurate, have better access for the farmers, have more reach. We're also discussing livestock, which is a very, very important part of the entire agriculture, for the Indian agriculture in particular. How it should be sustainable in terms of, particularly through the resilient breeds, how it can positively impact our attempt of mitigation and adaptation in terms of livestock, and also how the smallholder farming systems can really be a game changer moving forward, because they are really sustainable as compared to the intensive industrial production systems.
Okay. May I also add, and I'm truly excited about the curated dinner by Vibha Varshney as well, which is going to be a very biodiversity on a plate. So I'm also excited about that. Anyway,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for watching. So do stay tuned to CSE social media because we'll be sharing updates on the National Conclave next week. And until then, take care and think about what's on your plate. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.